So again, if you can't tell, we are about to read the Lightlark series. And I can't wait, kind of. I am curious about this series. I've heard mixed reviews, I've heard good things, bad things, all of that. And what kind of got me to think this idea is that I had my husband buy me this book for my birthday. And this is the third book. Have I read the first two? Nope. But I saw this one, and this is the Barnes & Noble's exclusive edition. It's a little different for the regular one, which I think it's like more of a teal turquoise kind of color. But I got this, and then I was like, you know what? I need to get the books to read it before I can read this. And somehow, some way, I was able to get these two from the library at the same time. So what better way than to read these all together at the same time? So I am going to obviously start first with Lightlark, which is what the series name is called. And basically, if you haven't heard, this book is about basically this island that pops up every 100 years, and these 6 different kingdoms have someone who has to come and basically survive for 100 days, and they all have curses that they want to break, but in order for their curse to break, someone has to die. And so I think I did briefly, sorry, you can't even see my bookmark. That's how briefly I started this already. I think I'm only on like page like 4. Oh, I'm not even. I'm on page like 2 or 3. So again, I briefly tried to start this. I think we're going to follow this girl named Isla. Don't know what kingdom. Don't know a lot. I just know she's one of the people who's going to go on this island to fight and survive and try to break her curse, whatever that is. I don't even know her curse. And yeah, so I will be keeping you up to date on what's going on in this book. And of course, when we finish this, we will go on to Nightbane. And of course, when we finish this, we will go on to Skyshade. And I think I briefly heard, I thought this was just going to be a trilogy, like 1, 2, 3, right? I thought it was just going to be these 3. But I think I heard something about how there is a possibility that this might turn into more than just a trilogy. So I'm not sure. But we're going to read, at least for sure, these first 3 books and see how it goes. So like I said, will let you know how it goes with Lightlark first and foremost, and then of course the others as we progress. But yeah. Alright guys, it is a couple of days. It is late at night, but I thought I should give a bit of an update on Lightlark. I am roughly about 80 pages in, and I am learning a lot about the 6 different kingdoms, their different rulers, their different kind of powers. I know some of their curses, I'm not sure. I feel like it's just a lot of information right now that I'm still taking in. And again, I'm not even like 1/4 of the way. This is 400 pages, 409 pages. And I'm, like I said, on like page 80. So I'm not even 1/4 of the way in. But we have met all 6 of the rulers of the different kingdoms. They haven't like officially started the trials, but there are like demonstrations and different things and stuff going on. So you get to see different parts of it. So that is definitely interesting. But yeah, it's slow going right now. But again, it could be just because there is a lot of information to take in, not only just about the kingdoms and the stuff, but like about the competition and what is expected, because Isla, the main character, she was trained for this to like not die, basically. The whole point is, again, she wants to live, she wants to not die, but she also wants to break the curse for her realm area thing so that they can finally like be good, right? Like they can thrive. So like I said, the main point is for her not to die and stuff. So again, she's trying to find ways to make sure that she doesn't do that, but also it's going through like all her training and like the different stuff that she's learning and knows about the different realms and like the area they're at. So it's interesting, I will say that, but it's just slow right now. So hopefully it picks up and we'll go faster, and hopefully it's good, because like I said, right now I'm just like meh. Like it's nothing like fantastic right now. It's like meh. Like I'm okay with reading it, but I'm not like wanting to read it 100%. So we'll see how that goes, hopefully. And yeah, I'll let you know. Okay, so I have no clue how long it's been. It's been a few days. And I know the last time I was only about 80 pages or so in to Lightlark. And I am now, I don't even think you see it. Like, I am, hold on. I am almost done. So, I think I have less than like 100 pages to go. I think 70 or so pages to go. And it has picked up quite a lot. Like I said, the beginning, it's just so slow because you're learning everything about the competition, about the rulers, about their powers, about like the curse that happened to make it where they had all this stuff like go downhill, and why they're trying to do this centennial and trying to figure out how to break the curse and stuff. And it's interesting because there's like rules that they had in place for the centennial competition, and they did it past centennials to try to like help fix things. And so one of the rules is that they each go through this demonstration, and then like once they hit, like, I think, I don't even know what day, but once they hit a certain mark, they get paired off. And so Isla's whole thing is that she became friends with one of the other rulers in the book from before, and they were going to team up and work together and find this relic that should help both of them break the curse for them and help their kingdom. So they were planning on that, and that didn't happen. And then they can't kill each other, like one ruler has to die. But the whole thing is that they have the rule that you can't kill someone before day 50. So the first 50 days you can't kill no one, and then after that it's fair game. But then the thing is that the king of the realm, he's competing as well. He mentions how like you have to think this through, because when you kill one of the rulers, you're killing the whole like realm or world that they are. So like Isla, she's a wilding. She deals with like nature and plants and flowers and stuff. And like part of her curse is that you can't fall in love and stuff. And again, some of this is kind of still confusing to me. So there is that. But like I said, it's getting interesting. It's more like I want to kind of keep reading, but I know in my heart and soul that it's probably not going to be a 5-star. It's probably a 4 right now. Maybe a 4.5 depending on the ending. But yeah, so I am close to finishing it. And then, like I said, I will let you know my final thoughts and stuff. And then we'll get started on the next one. Well, maybe not right away in the next one. I might need a break. But we'll definitely get to the next one, depending on how this ends. So yeah, see you then. Alright, so it's been a couple of hours. And I finished Lightlark, which I already knew I was going to. And I will say that the last 70 pages is so crazy and so like wild. There's so much going on, so much betrayal and like revelations of things that are happening and that like you find out. And like it's just crazy. But I'm not gonna lie, this ended up being a 4-star. Even though all that stuff near the end was crazy and like wild and out there, I think it was just so much at the end thrown together and stuff that it's like hard to like it's confusing. Not that it's hard to understand, but it is confusing, and you try to look back or think back to what you've previously read and stuff, and it makes some sense with certain things, but other ones you're like, what, why, huh? So that's something. And I will say too that I learned a little bit later when I was kind of looking at the series that there is like a love triangle between Isla and two of the rulers, and I was rooting for one because of like the way that they were interacting. And then let's just say, for those who read the end, like it's hard to root for that person anymore, and you're like, what? No. And so now I'm like curious how it's gonna go. And I am curious because the centennial thing does end with this book. So then now, what are the other two books about? I don't know. Like I said, I literally only have known this book. So I'm curious what the other two books are going to be about. But yeah, like I said, this was interesting. It was good. Like I said, there was a lot of plot twists and things at the end. And it was crazy and stuff. And I will definitely want to read the second book. But I'm going to do a quick palette cleanser of something light, fluffy, and easy. And then I'll probably get into the second book. So I will let you know when I get started on that. So yeah. Alright, it's been a very long few days. Mother's Day happened, and then a couple of my kids have been sick again, and we've been dealing with that. But I finally got some time in to read Nightbane. I am like 150 pages maybe? Oh, 162. 162 pages in, and let's just say real quick that this may or may not be spoilers. So just know, if you have not read Lightlark, you may or may not want to know what I'm going to say about Nightbane. So, be forewarned. But Nightbane is basically after the Centennial in Lightlark, from the first book. Basically, they're all trying to figure out what to do. Since the curse is over, everyone can get back to like living their lives regularly. And Isla has it where now, not only is she in charge of her wildling people, but she did get the powers for the starling people. So she is now technically the leader for them, which is unheard of because the only person who has powers from all the realms is the king Oro. I think that's how you say his name. But yeah, so, and she, like I said, she in her Lightlark book had no powers. None. She wasn't able to use her powers. And you found out why a little bit. So yeah. And so this one is focusing kind of on her finally having powers, finally getting used to it, finally rebuilding stuff. But there's also a possibility of a rebellion to take over stuff and all this other stuff. And she had a vision that Grimm, the one who betrayed her, that I was like rooting for at first, he might be coming to attack. And there was a threat made in the part that I got to from Grimm that he would take down Lightlark and you should flee to your like little islands that were separate so he could take down Lightlark or join him. And so yeah, it's mainly Isla is like going through learning her powers, but it's also like going through like what she dealt with when she was with Grimm because he took her memories away. And that's kind of one of the things that made it where he betrayed her in the last book is that. So it's interesting. It's good. It took me a minute to get back into it. So I'm pretty sure I'll finish this in a day or two and we'll see how it goes. And then I don't know, depending on how this ends, because I won't lie, I'm one of those people that I kind of skip ahead. So I've kind of read the ending, but I'm very curious how we get to that ending. But depending on how I feel once I read the ending, I might just jump into the third book. I might, instead of doing a palate cleanser like I did last time. But we will see. So that is my update on Nightbane so far. Like I said, it is interesting, it is curious, and I do see a lot more kind of why there is the why choose, but I don't know 100% if it's going to kind of keep that like why choose kind of feeling in like this book and the next book and whatnot. So we will see. But right now, let's just say it's interesting, and I'm just curious about how it's going to all go. So that is all I have for now, but we will see how it goes later on, and I'll keep you guys updated. Bye! I literally just finished this, like not even a minute ago. And I think I mentioned how I skipped ahead to read the last chapter. And I was like, okay. I was like, shocking. Gotta know how to get there. But there's so much more. And I don't know how to feel. I don't. But it ends on such a cliffhanger. And there's a prophecy thrown into it. And I don't know what to do. Like, do I want to jump into the third one right away? I don't know. I don't even know how to read this because, like, it doesn't feel 5-star worthy, but it also, like, I don't know. I'm so confused. I almost feel like it should be just because of how I'm reacting. But I don't know. What do I do? I don't know. Okay, so I had to just. This is still after Nightbane, which, like I said, I still don't know what to think. With what I know from the stuff, the prophecy and the ending and everything revealed, I still don't know how to feel. But I figured maybe if I grabbed the third and what I still believe is the final book, even though like there's like 2 additional books, but it's about both love interests, and I wonder if it's more of like their point of views or something, or thoughts. I don't know. Still, those I don't think come out until next year. But I thought I'd pull out the third book. This is the one where, mind you, that I had my husband buy the special Barnes and Noble edition. It's like a pinky kind of like rosé color, and the regular version is blue, but this one's sky shade. And like I said, I went and I read, because mind you, again, for this whole series, the only thing I knew was about the first book, where it's about the centennial, 100 years, one ruler must die for the curses to be broken. And like I said, I had no clue about the second one until I started reading it. And this one, like I said, kind of going based off of what I finished reading with the third, or not the third, with the second. I have an idea, but I don't, because again, it's so confusing. But basically, this one's going to follow where the second one, I believe, left. Why is the sun being so confused right now? Why? But I also wanted to show, because like I said, this is the one I own, and I was so wanting to look at the map with the library books, but they like laminate and like tape their dust jackets on. And mind you, that one has a pretty thing, but then look, this is it with it off, like the rose, the dagger, crown. And so again, I think I'm probably just gonna go straight into reading this. So we're gonna see how this goes. And I don't know how to feel still about the second one. So maybe by the time I finish this whole series, I'll just know my overall feelings for this series and how I feel, and if it's gonna wreck me for other books. Hopefully not. So yes, we'll see. Alright, it is the same day, different shirt, late at night. But I am, in fact, reading Sky Shade right now. I am roughly like 160 odd pages in it. And I will just say that, like, if you haven't read Nightbane or Sky Shade or even Lightlark, probably don't watch this part either. I know I gave warnings for the beginning of Nightbane that I was probably going to spoil it. And that's going to be the same here. So, the way Nightbane ended was finding out that Isla and Grimm are married. And Isla leaving to go with Grimm so he could stop the war on Lightlark that's killing all these people she cared about and was working with. And the fact that all her people left to go to his land and stuff. So she goes and she's still angry and pissed off at Grimm, mad, but she can't deny her feelings either, which is like so infuriating and annoying. But basically, she finds out that there's this storm that keeps coming to Nightshade and it's killing and devastating people and it keeps getting worse and worse. And then she's dealing with the prophecy she got from the Oracle in Nightbane telling her that she either has to get rid of Grimm or Oro. And then she finds out from an Oracle on Nightshade that she's gonna die at the end of the storms, which is confusing. So there's a lot of like death and manipulation and stuff. And like, this book is one of those ones where if you're rooting for Grimm, you're rooting for Grimm. And it's hard because I like Oro too. And so it's like, I want to still keep going for Oro because he was a good guy and nice and kind and he didn't betray or anything to Isla. But then Nightbane showed all these memories that Isla had with Grimm and then finding out that they got married. And then in this book, their connection and stuff and how he treats her. It's so hard not to root for Grimm. But in a way, I'm like, what about Oro? So I'm so confused. And all this stuff. And then one thing that is annoying, I will say, is just Isla. She's just so infuriating because she left with Grimm thinking she's a monster because she couldn't control her powers and she used it and killed a bunch of people. And then had Grimm wipe her memories of it. But then she went back with him thinking she's a monster and she doesn't want to hurt Oro and his people and her friends there. And so then she gets these like cuffs for her wrists to like dim her power and stop it. But then she's also killing people who do bad, which some of the people in the town are like grateful for. But she's doing it to go to the Archer, which I'm butchering horribly, I know. But he's supposed to be able to use the blood and the hearts to tell her things because he can see things by using the blood. And so she uses it to try to find out when she's gonna die and other stuff. And it's very confusing and infuriating because, like I said, she claims she's a monster, but she doesn't want to be a monster. But then she's attacking people to get their hearts. And then Oro comes back because he feels the bond weakening, and then she pushes him away because she doesn't want him to get hurt because Grimm, and because his people want to still attack Lightlark. But he's trying to just save her, but they don't care about her because they think she's a traitor because she was fighting for Lightlark and now she's over here on Nightshade and they think she's spying. There's just so much going on. And this book is a little under 400 pages. And so in my mind, I'm like, how is this all going to get wrapped up in a nice, neat little package before that? Because I'm already, not quite, but I am roughly halfway. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, how are you going to wrap this up? And if this is the end of the trilogy, it's so hard and confusing. But if it's not, then it's like I said, I've seen that there's 2 other books, but from what I've seen, it's Grimm and Oro is what the books are called. And so then to me, like I said, I think it's their perspective or their views or even like alternate endings or something. I don't know. But I'm so confused. And all I can say is I gotta finish this and hope that it answers all the questions and just doesn't leave me in a horrible slump to where nothing else is going to fill this void, because again, this is the first time I've gotten in a fantasy series where I've gone back to back to back. The last time I did that was like the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy, when I started BookTube and stuff. And that's the only time. Everything else I will read and then I stop. Like, I don't go into second, third, or in third, fourth. So this is the first time going back to back to back. And in one way, like I said, I'm glad to be sucked into this world and these characters. But in another way, I'm like, am I going to be devastated and heartbroken when it's over? And there is possibly no more of this land and these people, and be like seeking more and not knowing what to fill the void with. So we're gonna see. I don't know how much reading I'll get, because tomorrow's Saturday, which my kids will all be home, but 2 of them have been home anyways because they're both sick. Well, one's 3.5, so he's already home, but the oldest was sick, and so she's been home. But we'll see if I get any reading done tomorrow or whatnot. But I think if I'm lucky, I'll finish it in the next couple days. And then I just don't know. We'll see how I feel. I'm trying to not like cheat and read the ending for this one, in the feeling that it is the end. But in another way, I'm like, I'm so curious. And so now I'm just pushing through, saying that I'll find out when I read it and get to the end. And this is way longer than it should be. But you know what? We're almost at the end, and it needs to be. So I will let you know once I get farther along, or almost done, or just done. And we will let you know. Oh, and then Nightbane, I landed on giving it a 4.5. Just because, like I said, I feel like, one, it moved really fast, really quick, and there's some stuff that I don't know. Like, it's so hard. But it was so enjoyable, and like I said, the ending was just crazy and wild. So that is my sign that I think it's time for me to go to bed. And then I'll just pick this up hopefully sometime tomorrow. So, good night. So it's been a day or so, and I finished Sky Shade finally. And I'm slightly annoyed because I thought this was completed, finished, done. Like, there's so much talk about it being done in my mind for some reason. Which, mind you, again, I only had heard of the first book, not the whole series. And now, finishing this, I'm so annoyed because there is no way this is done. It can't be. But then the other 2 books that I know are coming out, like I said, I thought they were just like the 2 battling kings, or the 2 love interests, Grimm and Oro, and like their perspective, and their like talking about things. And now I'm like, there's no way that can be it. Like, it can't just end the way it ended here. There's no way. Like, none. And so I'm slightly annoyed because it ends on the biggest like kind of cliffhanger and way that it can. And I'm like, now I don't know how long it's going to be until I find out what happens. And how, and if that's still going to be another book, or 2 or 3 for the whole series. I don't know. But I will say this. So the 2 battling love interests, the one that I feel that it was focused mostly on was Grimm. And like I said, in the first book, he technically was the one I was rooting for and liking the most. And I think that was because that was how it was set up, was for him to be the one, right? Because she ends up being married to him, and then, like I said, she goes and leaves to protect Oro and Lightlark by going back to him. And like I said, it's so interesting and so good in a way, but also I can see like the faults, because I won't lie, the Isla girl, like, she just does not learn from her lessons at all. she's still trusting the wrong people, and then the fact that she doesn't trust certain people because they betrayed her before, so then she gets mad and angry. It's like, girl, she got told to follow the snakes, and there was an obvious thing to the snakes, and she ignored it, like 100% ignored it, and so it's like so infuriating. But I will say that again, this one, like I said, I felt like the second book had it where she had more of a relationship with Oro, and then like it was cut off though, kind of by the fact that she was still like learning about her memories and past of Grimm. And then this one again, she's with Grimm, so it's focused on that. So it's like one of those things where I was really hoping for more Oro, and luckily enough, like near the end, kind of there was, but it was like short lived and like awkward, and of course dealing with betrayal and traitor and all this other stuff. So it's interesting, it's confusing, and I don't know how to feel and think, because again, it's like this to me, it's not like a 5 star, but it is definitely a higher up there. It would definitely still be probably like a 4, 4.5, I would say, because you do still get to learn a whole lot more about Isla and everything that happened and stuff. But again, it's just I have to wait now, which means I am not done with the series, even though I thought I would be. So yeah, so I would say overall, with the whole series, is that I would probably give it, like I said, for the whole series, all 3 books that I have read, I'm gonna say a 4.5 for the whole series. Now, my problem, like I said, is the fact that now I have to wait to see what happens, and I don't know how long it is, and I don't know the 2 books that I thought that again are named Grimm and Oro are gonna be the things to get to the end of the solution and figure it out, or what. So yeah, now I have to go research and look and then see what's going on, because I have so many questions. Because again, I thought it was over. I thought it was done. Even the author, I know she's wrote another book that's not a part of this series, and I'm like, to me, I thought that meant she was done, and now it's not. So we'll see. But yeah, like I said, I would say it's a pretty good series, I think, for the most part. Again, I think depending on the type of person, you might get annoyed mostly by Isla and her actions and stuff, which is understandable. But I think too that the way she grew up and all the stuff that she dealt with makes it where you kind of maybe have a better understanding of why she is the way she is. But then also it's like so infuriating, but I think it's supposed to be to build up to what it happens. So, but yeah, we will see what happens next. Hopefully soon. If not, we'll figure it out. But by that time, this is already going to be up. So I don't know. But if you guys liked watching this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Like I said, I am hoping to do more videos that are kind of like this, to where talking more about books instead of just doing the reading wrap-ups while I'm reading it and stuff. So we'll see, more reading vlogs or something. But if you have any comments or ideas, let me know. Tell me what I should read next, what series, what books, all that. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.